isolated incident of maybe misogyny. People were, and Bendis explained it, and all right, fine. But this was like 6 months ago in New Avengers, and now last month in Mighty Avengers, same thing happened except it's verbal abuse and not physical abuse.
But it's a villain again.
It's a villain again, but it's so out of character for Doctor Doom to lower himself to that extent. It is, and this is the whole problem I had with Civil War was that when you read Civil War, all of the characters all had their parts to play, so the words coming out of their mouths didn't really seem like their own. You know, right. Just because they had a role to play in the storyline, so we're going to manipulate the way they really think or how they talk in the past just to make them fit that role. And
but in defense, I'm playing the advocate here because I myself was a little taken aback by that too. Although at the same time I thought it was a little funny. But and not to say that made it right, but wasn't Dr. Doom in Fantastic Four during the Mark Waid run, didn't Dr. Doom track down a long-lost love of his,
yes,
thinking that he wants to find her so he can reconcile with her, but only so that he could kill her and then take her body and turn it into armor made of human skin?
Yeah.
I mean, that is the ultimate misogyny right there.
No, I agree with that.
You know, and I didn't hear, I don't remember as much negative backlash with that story, and I remember Mark Waid coming out and saying, come on, the guy went out and he turned a former love into his armor.
Right, but, you know, that didn't strike me. And again, it all started with this, and it was just one thing. But then to go in another monthly book and kind of do in a different version within a short amount of time like that, it's kind of not cool. I really think it's not cool. And you know what's the worst part about it? Is that both of these books are rated A. They're all ages books.
All ages, okay.
That's a bunch of bullshit. If they're going to be pulling this shit, if they're going to be talking this way about women and treating women this way, like kids...
Now
and I understand they're villains, right? They're bad people. Right. But not in all ages books. You don't have them acting that way in all ages books.
I think you've hit on something that I do have to agree, and quite frankly, it's something that just got right by me. That this is an all ages book, and you've got two portrayals of things that I don't know. I mean, it's one thing for teenagers to read it, but if I want to introduce again, we've had this discussion. I would have liked that a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old could pick up these books and read them, just like I picked up the regular books, you know, the regular Avengers and Spider-Man and Superman and Batman books when I was a kid. But the subject matter here, I mean... And
do you think
I'm not saying it should be condescending. I'm not saying it should be dumbed down. I'm not saying it should be simplified. But there are some portrayals there. It shouldn't. Yeah, you're right. It shouldn't be an all ages.
And do you think a 9-year-old is going to understand the subtext of what Bravo Men's is doing?
No, 9-year-old's not. I mean, maybe a very sophisticated 9-year-old would. And although I can see now we're making a case here where you get into parents that are going to get angry because they don't know what's going on in the book, and little Johnny is. And I hate to go off on a tangent even before I finish this thought. This is not the worst thing a kid can read in a book.
Right. No,
okay?
I
It's
agree.
not.
I agree.
They see worse things on HBO, on TV. Heck, late night television. I've seen some shows that I really enjoy that, I know kids could see it. It's going to be worse than that.
But in mainstream America, comic books carry the same stigma that video games do, which everyone thinks it is for kids.
For kids, right.
But both industries are moving way past that.
Right.
But some people are still stuck in thinking that that's primarily what these two things are for.
And they are mature, and these books are mature. And you and I will disagree. I think for the most part they're well written. Although, maybe I wouldn't go so far to give it an all ages book. I'd probably say maybe this is better for kids 13 and up. At least for teenagers, and then...
Well, see, in fact, I mean, the whole... I wouldn't even be ripping on the whole, rating of it if it was teen plus. But, I mean, that's the whole point is that, I don't agree with some of the stuff that's going on here, but on top of that it's an all-ages book. To me, that just compounds the mistake that they've been making with these books. And
okay. I mean, beyond the whole idea that I think you can write mature books across the board.
Right.
And they're gonna folks are gonna say, well, what about the Harry Potter books, which got much darker and much more mature as they progressed? And I agree. And there is a double standard when you talk about violence and sexuality when it comes to how they're portrayed in different types of media. People don't seem to have a problem with Doctor Doom blowing up the Fantastic Four, the Four Freedoms or the Baxter Building. Mm-hmm. They don't seem to have a problem with that. But if
right. No,
in a parallel, if he called the Invisible Woman a whore, mm-hmm.
Then
wow, that would cause this huge tumult in the community. So I think you have to recognize that there is a standard or a double standard.
Now,
there.
So do you think that if Bendis was writing Fantastic Four, okay, if Warren Ellis had Doctor Doom in Fantastic Four right now, and he, that's who's writing Fantastic Four, right? It's Warren Ellis, right?
No, Mark Miller.
Mark Miller with Brian Hitch. If Mark Miller had a scene where Doctor Doom called her Invisible Woman a whore, would that be out of place? Because this is Miss Marvel, okay? Not really a lot of people know Miss Marvel, especially kids don't know Miss Marvel. Sue Richards, everybody knows. Mm-hmm. Now, would that be more of a backlash if you had Doctor Doom calling Sue Richards, who's been a staple of comics since the 60s?
I don't know. Although,
is this just...
Okay, I'm going to play the advocate here.
Yeah.
I'm going to just play the advocate. You look at Ms. Marvel's costume.
Yeah,
she's not exactly being very conservative, and I can see why Doctor Doom would call her that, because she dresses pretty provocatively. Not to justify it, but within the character,
mm-hmm.
I can see why he would do that.
Now, do you think that they get away with it because it is Miss Marvel?
No.
You don't think so?
I think Ms. Marvel, Marvel's trying to push her as one of their top tier level female characters, and I think they've been successful in doing it. Hence, that's why they make her the leader of the Avengers.
Then the whole fact is, after Doctor Doom has that whole diatribe and calls her that, in her mind, she's like, "Wow, that actually hurt." Like, she's not a strong enough.
That hurt my feelings.
Yeah, that hurt my feelings. Like,
but she thought it in her head. She didn't say it out loud.
I know, but she still thought it though.
Well, just fine. She's a woman. I mean,
do you think Wonder Woman? Like, seriously, I know this is.
But she's not Wonder Woman.
I know. Well, this
Wonder
is starting to get into total
level.
geeky level right here. But if someone said that to Wonder Woman, she'd be like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, but
in her mind, that would be the whole thing.
But she's also Diana Prince. She's a goddess. She doesn't consider herself a mortal, whereas Carol Danvers has a ton of baggage from Rogue sucking out all her memories and then falling in love with the guy that she was in love with, to watching the X-Men come in and take Rogue in, and that's just the beginning. And then later on, dealing with coming into the Avengers and being thrust into a role, having Tony Stark hit on her in the very beginning, and she is... For me, I just find that that's a little more realistic in that character. I don't begrudge a woman having her feelings hurt if a guy calls her a fat pig.
Yeah, but to me, though...
Call me a fat pig, it'd hurt my feelings. And I get called a fat pig a lot.
Well, I guess what I'm getting to the point is that if she's supposed to be one of the top superheroines in the Marvel Universe, shouldn't her skin be a little bit tougher? Seriously?
I understand that, but then you get to the point where if you do that with the heroes, you no longer relate to them. It's like if you make them so above everything else, and they're always. But above,
it's not being completely above it. It's a simple train of thought. Like if somebody says something to you that you don't.
Or Dr. Doom says it to you, so you know you should just throw that out the window, right? Yeah.
I mean, why did she take it to heart? I mean, obviously he's berating her to beat her down, and by her thinking that he succeeds in doing that when you're reading the comic, you know that he won by him berating her like that and making her feel exactly how he meant to make her feel. She should be above that.
But she didn't let it affect what happened to her. What she did.
Well, and then Wonder Man's like, "You're not fat," and then in her mind she's like, and then she's like, "Shut up," because she's already beaten down.
Right. Now I understand that, but
and that's even worse. That he tries to compliment her like, "No, don't listen to him," and then she's like, "Shut up." Okay. Like she's all like in a hissy fit about, and like her feelings are hurt. And now she doesn't want to hear anything else from anybody else.
All right. Okay, we'll agree to disagree on that one. And I think we're going to end the first segment on that because this actually is going to lead us into another character discussion in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So stick around and join us in our next segment.